Hello! A bit different today, it's a little camera. This is the Venus Pro camera from FXT. Now I had an FXT VTX way back when I first built a drone from Lift RC, and it worked quite well, so I was keen to test how this would be. It wasn't too expensive and I could order it from Amazon Prime, so it came the next day for me. It is a CMOS camera, which I don't normally go with, but it did have the added nice thing of being able to switch between 4.3 and 16.9. So let's have a look inside and see what we actually got there. Inside the cover is a small box, and inside that box is the camera and stuff. You actually get these in a variety of colours, and it's like Runcam's mostly associated with orange, but it is such a good colour for turning up. So it's quite a sort of little micro sized camera. It's got a 2.1mm lens, which is quite nice. It's actually got the facility to put the power in to have an OSD signal showing what your voltage is. Quite useful if you're running a quad or a simple wing or something without that. I think mostly quads these days are pretty much all OSDs, but if you're out flying something very simple like a plane where you might not put something in there, that's quite handy. And it's got usefully 2 mounting screws. Often you find one mounting screw and it tends to wiggle a bit. But elsewhere in the bag, a little bag of connectors, I'm going to call that. The mount, so you can see it mounts through one hole and swivels in the other. One of the little OSD joystick things where you can, press the buttons to go through the menus. And one hell of a lot of screws to actually secure that in with. Oh no, there's more. There's a little service card from FXT. And there is this, which I thought was going to be instructions, but it's really just specifications. So there's no instructions to speak of as such, but we'll figure that out as they go. So where to put it? Well, I thought about putting it on a small wing where it might be useful to show the OSD output. I had this Diatone Tyrant S, which has an awful camera with a 3.6mm lens. It's like you're zoomed in and everything just blurs past. So I thought this might go in there and provide a better situation. It's a slightly different mounting mechanism, but let's have a look and see how it fits anyway. And if we can take it up for a fly, we shall do that.
Well, usefully enough, mounting was simple. The existing mounting holes lined up, and I could even use the cable and the adapter that went in the previous camera into this one. So I plugged this in quickly just to test the OSD, and if I pause it just here, one really interesting thing I can see here is my voltage. It's interesting because I didn't actually connect up the separate voltage connection. This is just the actual main battery voltage going into the camera, which I thought was quite interesting, because if that's the way it works, if you've got a single battery system where you're just supplying the camera directly, as you might do in a basic plane, you will get that OSD there without having to wire up an extra connection directly to the battery. Pretty handy actually, if that's the way it works, and it certainly seems to. But for the rest of this, what I just did is quickly go through all the menu options. There was nothing particularly exciting in there, all the things you'd expect. The only thing I looked at and took the lens cap off for was just to show the difference between PAL and NTSC, and have a look at the difference between 16.9 and 4.3, as this would do quite a good representation of what the goggles will do. In 4.3 my TV is stretching out to 16.9, but in 16.9 you can see you've got actual extra detail there, which are all pretty good stuff. So let's actually get off to the field and take it for a fly. Now, although I flew this in 16.9, the Fat Shark DVR will only record in 640 by 480, so what I'm going to have to do with my video editor is just stretch this out to give a representation of what it would look like in the goggles. Now, this is the worst day for a CMOS camera. It's really dull, it's really bad lighting, and normally I expect, really horrific darkness at the bottom of the screens when there's any light up above. But I've got to say, this is quite honestly the best CMOS camera I've flown with. It's getting the colours pretty nicely, there's no horrific dark spots on the floor, and there's no jello. I mean, it doesn't quite have the WDR value of a CCD sensor. You see, we don't get any cloud detail until we actually face into the sky to see that, but it is really good. Now, I also have to say, I always thought 16.9 was a little bit gimmicky. Is it any use? I was just happy with the image I'd get in my goggles. This is really the first time I've appreciated that I can see a little bit of extra detail on the screen now. It's not just the full free image stretched out. So it's actually a little bit of a comfort because the rest of the camera is really looking quite nice. So if you were into your 16:9 picture, and I know a lot of people are, and you can't get this on a CCD sensor right now, this is a pretty damn good camera, I'm thinking. And price wise it comes up as pretty competitive too. So yeah, overall I'm pretty damn happy. It's a nice little camera, the form factor is very small, it's got a good mounting. You can put it in 16:9 and 4.3, put it in Palo NTSC, and it seems to give a pretty good image. I'd love to go test it out in the sunshine and see what actually happens when you can give it some light in the sensor, but what it's doing here in quite a dim, tricky condition impresses me. So there you go. And this is the FXT Venus Pro FPV camera, and of course there'll be links down below for where you can get this sort of thing. Hope that's been helpful, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye for now. Well, you've made it to the end of the video, so thanks once again for watching. If you like what you saw, then please consider subscribing, and if you really like what you saw, then be sure to check out the link to my blog for a variety of ways in which you can help support this channel.